As the recent coalition with the Reaper faction was established, their facility location became available for XCOM for potential intel gathering. There they got word on the location of the mysterious assassin and agreed to avoid that area for now until more knowledge could be gathered. And thus, Commander Konoa opted for the adventure to head west in order to pick up supplies for about a week's worth. After the second day, he got word from Dr. Taigen that the improved assault rifles had been researched and were now more combat effective in the field. Taigen continued that his small team were inspired to work on hybrid materials for the soldiers' armor. So far, Taigen said, the encountered Advent were shielded by a combination of materials, some more common than others, and that a study might prove useful to the XCOM soldiers' own armor shielding. Konoa granted the permission for the study. Chief Engineer Shen informed Konoa that a resistance ring should be constructed now that contact with the Reapers had been established. The clearing of alien debris was already underway. A day later, Taigen's team was already done studying the Advent materials. With limited resources available to outfit the troops, up until now, they had to make do with whatever makeshift armor Shen managed to piece together for them from various scrap materials. Relying on methods that might otherwise seem outdated, Taigen's team developed a means of producing a multi-layered nanofiber weave capable of withstanding direct impacts as well as any traditional armor, without the added weight. The troops still had to exercise caution. Even the nanofiber had its limits. It may be best suited to the forces who rely on agility over pure stopping power. And so, the nanoscale vest became available to a few of the troops. Shortly after, Konoa discussed the long overdue Advent officer autopsy with Dr. Taigen. It had been scheduled for a while, but technological breakthroughs kept postponing it. Now they finally had a chance to discover something more about this particular enemy.
The Advent officers appear to be similar, if not physically the same as the common Advent trooper in terms of power and agility. However, field reports indicate a more developed mental acuity, as the officers do provide tactical directives to the subordinate Advent forces.
While Dr. Taigen was studying the Advent officer, Shen noted that the construction of the training facility was complete. This would greatly enhance the soldiers' skills and also have their skill and teamwork increase. 2 days later, Dr. Taigen's results were in.
I take it this was easier than your last procedure, Doctor.
Central, Commander. Yes, I find the process to be far less disconcerting when the subject has already expired. The results, however, it's best you see for yourself. My autopsy of the Advent captain has confirmed the existence of an implant, similar in design to the unit I extracted from the Commander. But there are differences.
What kind of differences?
The data you see is being pulled directly from this Advent captain's implant. The sequence here is essentially you, Commander. Or at least the tactical information they were processing through your mind. As you can see, the data is nearly identical.
They were using you against us.
Yes, however, the Advent data shows signs of decay. Removing the Commander from their network has likely caused significant damage.
Network?
Yes, what we're seeing here is a psionic network. These implants are capable of receiving and transmitting information, a great deal of information, somehow encoded in a stream of psionic energy. My working theory? Advent uses this network to augment the tactical readiness of its troops, as well as disseminate orders from its central command. Observe. Even in the subject's diminished condition, the implant continues to have an effect. A truly astonishing achievement.
Or a weakness?
Potentially. But I need direct access to their network to know for sure.
I'm guessing that won't be easy.
We'd need an active link. And that would mean hacking a live Advent officer.
Like I said, not easy. Still, it's the best lead we've got. Your call, Commander.
With the newly gained knowledge about the psionic links with officers, Tigan set up preparations for the next steps. One of these would be to construct the Proving Ground facility and perform the Skulljack project on an Advent officer. It would take many weeks for this to complete. Dr. Tigan also presented a report on the recent findings. Besides the officers being physically larger and tactically more capable than the subordinate units, the most noted difference was the earlier mentioned psionic link augmented with a mechanical implant. The process of psionic control was specifically engineered to allow rapid deployment of tactical information drawn directly from the subconscious mind, in this case, the mind of Commander Konoa. With the hierarchy in place, tactical knowledge stored in the depths of the commander's mind was processed and transmitted to the Advent officers, who in turn directed the troops and other subordinates. With the commander no longer attached to the psionic network, it's difficult to say how the orders are being dispersed at this point, although Tigan was sure that the aliens had planned for this potential contingency. Konoa discussed the building of the Proving Ground with Shen, but first, more alien debris needed to be cleared before this could be constructed. As Tigan needed to wait for the Advent specimen, in the meantime, improvements to resistance communications could be prepared. With this, more resistance cells could be contacted in a wider area as well. After a week, the Avenger had gathered all the supplies. In spring of 2015, UN military forces engaged one of the first alien battleships in the skies over this area. The civilian populace below was devastated during the ensuing battle. In between the salvage, Konoa's team returned with a good amount of resources. Next up, the Avenger moved to a new location where a signal had been caught stating a pair of rookies who wanted to join the XCOM project. As the Avenger moved to the location of the signal, one of the chambers had been relieved of the alien debris. Though the Proving Ground facility was important, Konoa believed that the Resistance Ring had a high priority and authorized the construction of it. Engineer Johannes Mulder would oversee the construction. Soon after, a transmission message came in.
You have made considerable progress against the aliens over the past month, Commander. I hope that your ongoing efforts will only lead to further success.
With the current factions in place, Konoa gave the order for a combined attempt to prevent ambushes on future covert operations. The covert operations would be performed by smaller teams over the span of several days in secret. The soldiers would need to perform without Konoa's supervision, but the commander had faith in his loyal troops to be responsible and experienced enough to complete the mission. The first covert mission was a secret operation to find and secure the kidnapped Mox. As Konoa knew that Charles and Natalia were a great team together, he decided to send both of them to locate the facility in which Mox was held at.
Nothing on the local comms. Advent's been quiet lately. I'm guessing we have you to thank for that.
Our pleasure, Den Mother. Enjoy it while it lasts.
We plan to. Our water purification
Massive
system-
signal coming from the Advent network tower. It's global. Sir, I think you'll want to see this.
Fellow citizens, for 20 years, the Advent Coalition has worked tirelessly to repair the ravages and injustices of the old world. Under our stewardship, our cities prosper, our people flourish, and our world heals. And yet, among us, there are still those who would refuse to acknowledge the truth, who are determined to see all that we have achieved
Multiple
crumble.
radar contacts on approach to Haven Alpha 7.
That must end. Even as I speak to you today,
You've got incoming on approach.
Your signal's breaking up.
outlying territories to end this scourge once and for all.
They're right on top of you.
Losing you, Avenger.
Raise them again.
We will ensure your continued safety and well-being throughout this crisis.
Get your people out of there.
With your cooperation, we will overcome these radical elements and usher in another 20 years of peace and prosperity.
They don't stand a chance. Commander, we should get a squad ready to deploy.
Commander, we have a squad ready to move on the Resistance Haven currently under siege by the aliens. Give the word and we'll move out.
The Advent retaliated and attacked one of the Resistance havens. Konoa rushed to the location to evacuate any civilians left. As the Avenger was on its way, the team to be sent out prepared. This time, a bunch of older veterans were about to go. With Natalia and Charles out on the covert mission, Lorenzo would take over the role of demolitions expert, and the inexperienced Shimada and German Sebastian Prill also accompanied the team to prove their worth. The troops were eager to get into some action again. The Advent aiming at civilians fueled some of the men with anger, happily returning the favor to the aliens. They were tasked with neutralizing all the Advent in the vicinity and rescue at least 6 civilians. Once the team had landed, the Advent had already done a lot of damage and killing. Doc took the first shot, announcing to the enemy and civilians that help had arrived. As the Advent ran for cover, they got shot at by multiple angles. One of the enemy units managed to slip through and reached Joker. With a melee weapon, he striked and beat the Australian unconscious. In an act of desperation, Lorenzo used his grenade launcher to wound the Advent before he could finish off Joker. With the Advent crippled, Angel took care of the rest. Then one of the sectoids resurrected one of the killed civilians, and Lorenzo was forced to put the person down again. It made him feel awful. Fire was exchanged between both sides as the XCOM forces mowed their way down the area, picking up and rescuing civilians along the way. At a small hut, the soldiers encountered another, bigger cluster of aliens, including a sectoid. Danos managed to pull off a marvelous kill from a great distance. Lorenzo used his final grenade to wound the sectoid as others, like Angel, opened fire as well. The inexperienced soldiers had a bit more trouble hitting it, but the German Sebastian achieved the killing blow and therefore his first kill in the war. Doc saw one of the enemy melee units storm towards the civilian and tried to take him out, but it was to no avail, costing the civilian's life. Angel shortly after avenged the fallen citizen by taking out the Advent. As the battle drew to a close, one of the civilians turned into a grotesque monster.
Rumors about some kind of shapeshifters. I'm guessing this is it.
Apparently, it was a shapeshifter. Though it looked impressive, Dog managed to kill it before it could do any damage. Though the mission was considered a success, the troopers saw a lot of civilians die that day. It was a quiet journey home. Joker, who was gravely wounded, received the position of medical expert, forcing him to stay back and hopefully avoid him getting in harm's way again. Several other soldiers got promoted as well. Besides the civilians, a lot of resources and salvage could be secured too. Specimens of the encountered enemies were brought in as well, and Tigan said he would be able to perform an autopsy on the so-called Faceless, the shapeshifter revealing itself at the end of the battle. By performing an autopsy, they might come to understand how it is that they emulate humans so effectively and develop a tool to deceive them in return. The Stun Lancer, self-explanatory the melee unit, could be researched to make a weapon that the Rangers could use in the field. And lastly, the recovered priest could be studied to maybe mirror some of their abilities for XCOM's own purposes. By having rescued the civilians, XCOM kept some of their monthly supplies intact received from the Arctic region. Seeing so many civilians die weighed down on some of the soldiers. Doc could not shake the images of screaming men, women, and children. He often woke up in the middle of the night in a sweaty panic. Konoa offered him some psychological help, and until Doc was his old self again, he would sit the next couple of missions out. Joker, after having somewhat recovered, was immediately sent to the training center to work in his skill. He was partnered up with Angel as her own personal medic. Wherever she would go, he would follow. After the battle, the Avenger returned to the signal of the rookies to search for them. Dr. Tigan noted that communications had been installed. Although conceptually the idea of establishing a radio-based communication system for the purpose of organizing a resistance movement is nothing new, harkening back to any number of Earth's previous wars, what we hope to accomplish here is still no small task. The aliens are particularly adept at detecting the human signals, with a vast array of technology and resources at their disposal. However, working in close collaboration with Chief Engineer Shen, they've begun to salvage some of the aliens' own communications equipment from within the Avenger itself. From studying the surviving log files, they discovered an astounding number of simultaneously communications being distributed through their network at any given time. This has proven to be the key to their proposed solution. With so much traffic flowing through the alien network, it should be relatively easy for XCOM to disguise its own transmission among theirs. Without any rest, Dr. Tigan followed up with another autopsy. With this installed, the Avenger could establish contact to the west and south in a while.
Now that we've established a link, we can use our intel resources to make contact with the local resistance cell in this region. Aside from getting us into the black site, our access to supplies should improve now that we've expanded our reach.
Knowing that my past surgical experience is limited, I am sure the crew appreciates that I hone my skills on fallen Advent forces before triaging our own wounded. To the uninitiated, the common Advent trooper is seemingly human. The aliens have disguised its most glaring divergence from the human form with a carefully designed helmet.
Three days went by searching for the rookies when Tigan informed Konoa that the Advent Trooper autopsy had been completed. The most public face of Advent security, the standard Advent Trooper serves as the first response role in areas of high public exposure. Although rumors as to their origins have persisted for years, it's only recently that we've confirmed that they are in fact a product of human-alien hybrid development. Tigan's initial autopsy indicated that the troopers were, at one time, entirely human, implying some means of gradual genetic enhancement without the rejection concerns that would normally plague these experiments. The body itself maintains the general outward appearance of a typical human, with the most crucial change occurring in the cranial structure. Shen then informed the commander that battle scanners could be produced, revealing unsecured areas in the near vicinity of the soldiers. And finally, Dr. Tigan said a technological breakthrough had occurred for improved cannons. Soldiers like Natalie, Charles, and Aranzo would greatly benefit from this. The two rookies that got picked up were the Polish Marcin Hodun, who fled into the forest near his hometown when it fell prey to the invading aliens. He got caught by one of the aliens, but managed to kill it, but not before withstanding a ferocious attack, scarring his face and neck. He wears a hoodie to conceal his scars, and he doesn't talk much, but his resort to make the alien bastards pay has never once diminished. And then there was the Nigerian Junaid Lawal, nicknamed the Night Fox. During an expedition in Africa, he got separated from his group. He tried to get back to HQ, but got lost and stumbled upon one of the alien facilities. He was able to pinpoint its location, and when he finally managed to get back, he gave the higher-ups the coordinates of the facility. It was partly due to Lawal that the human soldiers managed to get a big victory there.
To make contact, we'll have to scan the region for a few days before the local resistance cell comes out of hiding. Once we find them, we'll be up and running in the new region.
Up next, the Avenger would make contact with the East Asian resistance cells. Once they arrived, news got out that the location of Mox had been confirmed. A rescue operation, nicknamed Operation Magic Mother, was set up where a small squad of 3 would sneak into the base to exfiltrate the captive. The task was given to Laranzo and Angel, both still feeling fit after the last mission, and Connor, who was eager for some action as well. The 3 went on their way. They were informed to approach stealthily. Security might be tight, and once Mox's cell had been breached, chances are likely that all alarms would go off, forcing them to make a quick exit.
The latest intel has our operative being held in the main structure just ahead. We have the advantage of stealth here, so we should try to get in and out as quietly as possible. If the enemy spots us, this is going to get a whole lot harder.
They arrived unnoticed and breached the facility without alerting any of the patrolling guards. Further ahead were a pair of turrets, too dangerous to traverse, so they headed outside again to approach from a flanking angle. Once they were inside again, Connor and Angel set up defensive positions as Laranzo headed in to secure Mox at his cell. Though there was a slight chance of Laranzo not setting off the alarm, fate would not have it, and as Central pointed out the evac zone, the entire facility lit up. Connor tried to cover Laranzo, but missed. It resulted in Laranzo being shot in the leg, making it more difficult for him to carry Mox. As Laranzo headed to the exit, Connor took care of the Advent soldier and would soon follow. As expected, the Advent sent in reinforcements quickly. It started out with regular troops, but the XCOM soldiers knew soon they would come with bigger units. As these were now weak, a well-thrown grenade by Angel took them out. As the next reinforcements arrived, Angel signaled to head straight for the evac point. It got too hot to confront the enemy any longer. And right she was, as one of the Advents snuck up behind Connor and shot him in the back. More reinforcements were sent in, this time including a priest. The facility had turned into a death zone. One of the melee units rushed towards Angel when she was almost at the evac point and hit her hard. She was barely able to stay conscious. Though all three were battered and bloody, they did all manage to evacuate with Mox at their side. It was a success, but the soldiers had to pay with their flesh. They received some medical attention at the dropship and would be out of service for a while. Laranzo's situation was the least dire, as only his leg was out of commission. He would be up for another mission in no time. Connor received a promotion, gaining him the rank of sergeant. Volt was impressed that Konoa's men managed to get Mox back.
The Skirmisher faction. They may look like Advent, but they sure don't act like it. Now that we've established contact, we can scan at this location to gain additional support for our cause.
You know them as they were, the soldiers of Advent. Now they are free to choose. If you stay your course, Commander, they will stand with you until the end. Commander, I believe it is time that we meet. I am Betos, first of the freed Advent. You are safe here. Praetor Mox was new to our cause, but he believed in our people's freedom, in this alliance, in you, Commander. I shall do the same. My skirmishers stand ready, should you need them. May our people stand united until the false gods fall.
With the skirmishers now having joined as well, Konoa gave once again green light to establish a connection in East Asia when he got word that the resistance ring had been constructed.
Commander, the factions you have contacted are well equipped to track down the Chosen. Their knowledge will be invaluable in helping XCOM locate and eliminate these threats.
With the resistance ring installed, Konoa was now able to hand out covert actions on the fly. The first one would be a pair of soldiers to be sent out to the Reaper base for some combat training. Marklund and newcomer Laval were chosen to go out there and improve their skill.
We have a priority message coming through. It looks...
Hello, Commander. It would seem your recent activities have gotten Advent's attention. Our unwelcome guests are on the move. Advent has been diverting considerable resources and personnel to covert facilities across the globe. The exact details of these operations are highly classified. However, they do have one thing in common. A single word that appears in all their files. Avatar. I believe the black site we had previously uncovered to be but a part of this Avatar project. Based on what we have uncovered so far, its true scope is far greater. This project is being directed from the very top of Advent, from a source I am still unable to determine. All attempts to uncover its identity have met with failure. It is time to take a more direct approach. Though we may not know the exact nature of this Avatar project, we can still disrupt it. We must root out these hidden facilities with the help of local resistance cells, disrupt our enemy's operations, and in the process, uncover the truth. Locate the source of this Avatar project, and then destroy it. Were the enemy to succeed in their efforts, I am certain it would mean the end for us all. I am confident you will take whatever measures necessary to eliminate this threat, Commander.
This news was unsettling. It was revealed that whatever Advent was planning, that their Avatar project was currently at a state of 25%.